I think we're here. I think we're here. Okay. All right. Welcome, Facebook family. Yay. It's been a whole month. We're almost at the end of the year. We're going to have some good conversation tonight. Going to introduce our lovely people. Who we have is Dr. Sherilyn Garrett. You guys are familiar with her. And we have therapist extraordinaire, Khalid Scott. But we have some special guests. We got some family,
Welcome.
We have the Pritchets,
What's
right?
going
They have
on?
their own. They have their own show, and we gonna patronize and join their platform too at a later date.
Okay.
But Pritchets, just tell the family about yourselves and the show, and we're gonna get into it.
Hey everyone. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. I am Sean Pritchett.
I'm Natasha Pritchett.
She got my last name, y'all. And she's been having my last name for the past 18 years.
Yep.
19 June 21st. And I just been
On my birthday, y'all. On my birthday.
Look at that.
And we have been all of the above, happily, emotionally, physically, mentally,
Everything.
unhappily married for 18 years. And the reason I throw that unhappily in, because there's no couple that's been happy all of their years. And so sometimes you just got to be transparent with the people.
Yeah.
But we have been all the adjectives and above, and we're still here going strong.
Right.
And through that, we have our own podcast, internet show. Natasha, you want
Called
to
the
talk about it?
MP3 show, Marriage, Music, and Ministry with the Pritchett's.
Yeah.
We are all things marriage, of course.
Yeah.
Music, because we're both musical beings. We
Mhm.
love music, gospel music, especially, and ministry because we're both in ministry. And
Yeah.
so, we just cater to all those things and more.
And
So,
more, yeah. So that's who we are, man. We are the Pritchett's. Been living with each other for all these years,
real.
and I still enjoy living with her.
He makes me laugh. He's
yeah.
a comedian. So.
Yeah, that's a key. You got to make them laugh. You got to make them laugh.
Fun
I feel
time.
good. Okay, we gotta go. Keep on going. Yeah, that's us.
So I'm so happy to be connected with them. Sean is my SEC bro.
That's right.
And Tasha is my SEC sister by marriage. Nevertheless, she sang too, y'all. Don't let her sleep on you. She
Yes, she
sang
does.
too. But that's our connection, and we just appreciate God and how He nicely woves people together, right?
That's
And
good.
as the Facebook family already knows, I know Dr. Garrett before she was Dr. Garrett, right? I know Khalid when he was a caseworker before he was therapist Khalid, and it's just really amazing how you can establish when you work in integrity and you have friendships and relationships built on honesty, transparency, just being who you are. It's good to be able to come back together in a different platform. And so that brings us here today. And so we've been talking since July, and this has been a roller coaster experience for me. This is not anything that I had planned in this year of 2021. I couldn't have planned this at all. But as you know, my book is called His Bride, and it's my journey to becoming His bride. We got an upgrade. Becoming His bride, but also becoming God's bride, and understanding there is a difference, but there is a correlation, and there's a pattern, and there is a step to it. And if I can't be any more honest and transparent before you start talking about you want the all-white party, and Natasha and Sherilyn can speak to that, the all-white party where you the center of attention, everybody else in color, and you went all white, cream,
Right.
whatever color of all white you want, ecru, whatever color of all white you want. You need to know who you are on the inside first.
Absolutely.
That's so important. So tonight we're going to talk about this fretful word of intimacy. And so in the book, I rephrase it as IN, the number 2, ME, and the letter C. Or you can transput SEE. So IN-2-ME-SEE, meaning see into me for real. Like minus the lashes, the makeup, the hair, the clothing. See me. And do you love me?
Exactly.
Or do you love the facade of who you think I am and who you think I'm going to be 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, which ain't going to happen. Ain't that right, Sean? So,
That's right. At all.
That ain't happening, right?
It's not even possible.
Listen, the Hollywood done got everybody fooled.
Right.
These reality shows, they done got us fooled and bamboozled and hoodwinked into believing that intimacy is so like on this level of what do you like? Well, whatever you like. You know, back to what was that, Coming to America?
Yeah.
Whatever you like. You know, and I always bring up the runaway bride. Well, what kind of eggs you like? Whatever eggs you like. You know, no. What do you like? Who are you, right? And so, I was just telling the panel before we got on, one of the things that Holy Spirit revealed to me, because I work in social welfare, and one of the things Holy Spirit revealed to me that I never even thought about is that when people are in an abusive situation, usually there's a power struggle. Okay, and I have my therapist here to give me my nods from a clinical perspective. There's a power struggle. Maybe not so much of a struggle. There's one who's going to be the alpha, whether it's the male or the female, right? Yeah. And that person, believe it or not, may have an ability to see into you or see what you could be and how that doesn't benefit them. And so what they do is they try to clip those wings, right? We've talked about that before, about clipping of the wings, or try to make you feel like you can't be this person before you even have a thought. Before you even have a thought about being that person or achieving that goal, right? Because it doesn't feed them. It doesn't feed their agenda. It doesn't make them feel good about themselves. It makes them feel inferior or whatever the case may be. And so then the power game happens, and then you spear off into the various cycles and levels of domestic violence. But we're not going to go that deep into domestic violence. But I know in my book I did talk about, and I did reveal that I was in a like situation, not physically violent, but there was an emotional toil. There was an emotional power struggle that occurred actually in 2 of my previous suitors that I could have been married to. Amen. But God.
Thank God. Yes.
We're going to preach on this on tonight. And I never recognized it when I was in it.
Because you can't. You can't.
It was when I got out of it and I got some good therapy. Amen for the therapists out there who do some good therapy work. And I recognized, like, wow, the very advice that I was giving to my clients about their relationships, I didn't take and eat for myself. And it was some good advice about knowing your worth and being yourself person and don't let anybody dumb you down. But I was dumbing down because it made him feel good.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah. Sean, you want to speak to it?
It happens, unfortunately, because of the fact, whether it's male or female, someone is trying to please their spouse or their significant other. So they'll do what it takes and deal with what they're dealing with just to make things happy and just to keep the peace in the home, although there's no peace because abuse is going on. But I want to do this to, try to keep some of the little peace I have, and we don't want others to see that we're struggling. Yeah, exactly. So I'll hide what I'm really dealing with because of the fact, if others know this, then they'll say we're not so good, or
Mhm.
we're not so great for each other. You know, they see our flaws.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
you know, yeah.
And I think also we began, and I know for me, I began to believe the facade.
Yeah.
I wanted what we were painting.
Yeah.
I wanted that. I
Yeah.
wanted that more than I wanted to establish and keep establishing and keep evolving my worth.
Yeah.
So Dr. Arnold, may I?
No, no, go ahead.
The thing is that, yeah, you start believing the facade because it's easier for you to believe the facade rather than do the battle and also
Yeah.
do the work. And so for me, one of the things that I always believe in doing therapy is that the stuff that we're talking about in relationships is also a parallel process for me, because the stuff that we're talking about, I'm still walking that path myself. When we talk about self-esteem issues, I'm still talking to me as much as I'm talking to them. There are things that we all deal with, right?
That's right.
And so
That's right.
when you are dealing with this piece of the emotional abuse and all these things, it can come from any direction, right? So you have to, a lot of times people can't see it, but the person that is the batterer, they see directly to, in my mind, directly to your soul. So they know the buttons to push. They know what's going to send you over the edge because they are that in tune with who you are and who they want you to be. So they can wrap their little hands, they push that button, they send you over the edge, and then they're in control. And it makes you look like to other people, if they see it, this person is the batterer, oh, they're the good person. But the person that is the victim / survivor is the person that's given all the issues, when in actuality, that's not what the case is, right? Because we know inside what happens behind closed doors. But to the world, they want to look perfect.
Right. Khalid,
So it's
you
the
want to
same
jump
kind of
in?
thing.
Yeah. Khalid, you want to jump in?
I know he does.
Be nice, Khalid. We got company. Be nice.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you again, sis, for always having me. It's been a wonderful ride for these last 5 to 6 months, and here we go. You know what? Every day I find out something more about love, relationships, intimacy, and everything else that goes into the what I call the love pot, right? And you can never have enough ingredients, right? And I think as human beings, we're still trying to figure this out. You know, being in relationships with ourselves and learning to be in relationships with others and getting what we want from them. And I think whether we get it right or whether we're doing it wrong, we have an expectation, we have a hope, we have a desire. And I hope, if nothing else, and I'm kind of getting off the beaten path, I just want us to always be optimistic about love, about the relationships in our lives, and about our worth, and being worthy for good love. Good love.
Right.
And if it ain't good love, run from it.
Run it.
Yeah.
Run far. Run, Forrest.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
No,
absolutely.
we always want to support. I'm sorry, Dr. Garrett, but we always want to support the healthiness of love.
Yes.
And part of the healthiness, I think, of love, and what I really want to stress is that self-love. It's not pompous, it's not arrogant, it's not being self-absorbed, it's not over extreme. It's just knowing who you are, knowing what your limitations are, understanding this is a deal breaker for me and I'm not switching. And that's okay if that's yours, right?
Yes.
But having that self-love that only God can show you how. Let's start there. But practicing that thing out. So when that Boaz find you, or when you as you're evolving into being that Ruth, if you want to go biblical that way, or just evolving into who this person is to being, they know who they're getting. They're not getting some facade or some romance novel book and you got 50 of them and you done read them all, right? And you've been patterning your life after them. Dr. Garrett, you wanted to say something?
No, I was about to say what you were saying about knowing yourself and self-worth, self-love. And sometimes it takes us a while to get to the point of where we actually love ourselves. We think that we do.
Right. Right.
But it also takes us the time to really get to know our wants, our desires, all these things. Especially young ladies, I'm finding a lot of times they really don't know themselves, and a lot of them are paying attention to what their friends are saying or what their friends are doing, and this or they've had or seen dysfunctional relationships, and they think that that's okay, and that's the way that it should go. So they listen to that, and then they emulate what they saw. And so then we have a lot of issues that we're talking about, intimacy issues, because they believe that this is how things should be. The reading of the romance novels, the dysfunctional relationships that maybe their parents have had before them or their friends have had, and they don't really know what healthy love is, and they are seeking that. So oftentimes they leave themselves vulnerable, and when they leave themselves vulnerable, these kinds of things step in.
Because
we're talking about.
Yeah, because they come in. See, a lot of mistakes what happens, especially in relationships, that they come in dysfunctional.
Correct.
And so what they do, they put all the power and the pressure on that man or that woman to fix their dysfunction, because in fact they didn't know how to fix it themselves. So let me come into this thing acting like I'm all right, but knowing I'm dysfunctional. Right. I'm dysfunctional. I'm a mess. And so now you're supposed to fix this, because in fact you're who God put in my life. So you're supposed to fix it. No, you have to fix that dysfunctional whatever's going on in your life before stepping into that. Will you always will you be perfect going into a relationship? Absolutely not. But do not depend on man or woman to fix the dysfunction that's going on in your life. You have to fix that, or at least that's right. You have to love yourself. You gotta love yourself, or that's right. At least come past halfway when you come to that man or that woman, because in fact, if you come in half empty, now you already setting yourself up for trouble or for failure in your relationship.
Natasha, you want to add in?
And you know, and it's true, because we're forever evolving, right? Yep. So like you said, Sean, we're not going to always get it right. We're not going to come in just 100%, just hitting the target and just doing everything right. We're not going to be perfect, right? Because no man is perfect, but God, but Jesus. Right. And so with knowing that, like you said, you have to come like, okay, I'm right here. This is where I'm at, and be transparent about it. Be real about where you are. Like, this is where I'm at. And if you're willing to work with me and I accept whatever it is that, you know, you have going on, and we work together in this thing, then okay, let's do it. Because we know that where we start is not where we're going to end. If we're looking to be better people, you know, where we start is not where we're going to end. And so better is the end of the thing than the beginning.
Okay. Because and I always use myself an example. Big G, that's my husband, y'all. Big G, when he was praying, because right after he became saved, he thought, okay, now I'm gonna get married, and it was 10 years before I was revealed to him. Right? He was praying for 10 years, 10 long years, and God told him in prayer that your bride is gonna come to you broken. And he was like, what's that supposed to mean? So when he met me, I was broken. Because the third suitor had just, I almost was out of here. Like literally, like suicidal and all of that. Out of here. Because that's where my worth was, right? Needed a lot of tweaking there. And so he was willing to wait while it was Jesus, therapy, and me. Until I was ready for a relationship.
That's right.
That was healthy.
That's awesome.
Right? So even men, when God reveals your wife to you, she's wife material as she is. She's not coming into her wifedom. Right. The scripture says, he that findeth a wife, he didn't say findeth a woman. He didn't say find a girl. He said find it of wife. That means her positioning and her attitude is there. There may be some tweaking and some things she needs to work on, like Natasha was saying and Sean and everybody is saying. But if you're willing to work with it, right, then the end result is awesome,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I was looking in the scriptures, and I the Song of Solomon is supposedly like the love,
Yeah, yeah.
X-rated book of the Bible.
Come on.
But in Song of Solomon, you can read it for yourself. I'm just going to read this little portion. It was kind of deep, got kind of like a little toasty. In chapter 4, 10 and 11, it says, "You looked at me and I fell in love. You've captured my heart. How beautiful your love, my dear, dear friend." Even in there, he calls her his friend. Even in scripture, they're calling. So even in relationship, I think when we talk about intimacy, we forget that there are more scriptures about your brother, your sisterin. We infuse sisterin in brethren in scriptures, right? So there's more scriptures about you treating your neighbor as thyself than there is about husband and wife. Why? Because when you become husband and wife, you still friend.
Yes.
You still my sister.
Yeah.
You still my brother. And I still need to treat you, my neighbor in the bed next to me. I still need to treat you as I would treat myself.
Right.
And so I think we forget that that's friendship, that relationship, making you laugh, like you were talking about Natasha earlier. Sean makes you laugh. Big G makes me laugh. Yeah, we get a little testy sometimes. You get a little angry, whatever.
Comes with the territory.
Move over. Right. Move over. Yeah, we both still evolving. But that friendship is essential. It cannot go to the wayside. That means when you was dating me before, you still date me after the ring and the ink is dry on the license.
That's right. That's right. Yes, ma'am.
These things are important. That still alone time is important. Date night is important. Date day is important. I'll put it out there. The special moments for lunch are important. These things are important. Khalid over there. I got my hand raised. I can't. Go ahead, Khalid.
Lunchroom specials.
Uh-oh. Lunchroom special.
You know what, Kay? Not only do our names start, with a K, not only are we Cancer siblings, and then we're Divine Nine siblings, but that was a wonderful segue, what I was just about to read. And you just took it and so let me share this. Today on Facebook, I posted a message about the 4 levels of friendship. Look at this. The first level is acquaintance, occasional contact, very general, talk about general topics, lowest level of a friendship. Next is casual, have common interests, activities, and concerns, meet more frequently than acquaintances, praise and encourage each other, and not serious about each other emotionally. Then close friendship, mutual interests and life goals, and work mutually towards reaching those goals. Often share similar values, ideas, and worldviews. Most people never get this far in their relationships, and others jump straight from acquaintance to intimate because they do not know how to go through the friendship building process. And then finally, look at this, intimacy.
Come on.
Committed to the development of each other's character. Requires the freedom to be vulnerable as well as correct each other. Mutual responsibility of open honesty with discretion, and commitment to working with each other towards becoming better people for ourselves and each other.
That's it.
That's it.
Come on.
Come on. We got the spoken word today.
Right.
That's it.
That's it.
I read that this morning when you posted it, and I was like, that is everything that we've been talking about.
Right.
In just one post. And that knowing which level you're on with people, and your friendships, relationships, and who gets to that intimate level, period, who's there. And so it caused me to reflect and think about the people that are closest to me and which level they are fitting in.
That's
And
good.
so,
Yes.
because I'm in transition into another decade of life coming soon, and so
Come
I'm
on,
like,
decade.
I'm like looking at people now. I'm side-eyed at some choices that I've made in my life, and putting people kind of where they belong.
That's it.
And
That's right.
as you move to that different decade, I'm gonna be 50. I'm looking at that decade. I have to keep saying it out loud. But those choices, the intimacy, you don't get every part of me. Everybody doesn't get every part of Sherlyn.
Yep.
So I'm putting you where you belong. And so I think that we have to take stock in that post, because it's really powerful, and it also gives you time to reflect on those that help you get to that level where you can be transparent. I feel completely transparent. I can be Sherlyn. I can be silly. Keena knew me before there was a doctor in front of my name and the initials behind my name. And so I can just be me. And that is important. Everybody doesn't get that. And so some people have to get the doctor. Some people get just plain Sherlyn. Some people get an introduction, and that's all they get. And so the people that you have in your life, to me, it's very important that you have those that can correct you. Right. And that you have those that help build you. And so those are the close people, the intimate people that get to take you to that, help you go to that next level. Right. And so that's why it's important that you have that in your relationship, the long-term relationship, that you have that person that can help you do that. And I think a lot of people forget that. When you say I do now, we just, okay, we married. There's the paper. That's it. Right. But you have to have some person that's going to build you up too. Especially when you're torn down, the protector piece, you have to protect each other. You got to do those things. And so 27-year veteran, that's all I can say.
Right.
Moving to 28.
Right. So Pritchets, like when you had that newlywed love and now you 18 in. Yeah. 18 in. Come on, 18 in.
18 in.
But y'all get
what would you say is different now? You know, like before, Sean was like,
you know what? Like you hit it right on the head. You said that puppy love, that brand new, fresh, we newlywed love, and then everything that happened in between. Those in between years, the good, the bad, the ups, the downs, the ugly, the scary times, and then to where we are now. Like I said, we're forever evolving.
Yeah, that's
you don't stay like the love. It grows. Yeah. It gets bigger. It gets better. It gets deeper. It gets stronger.
That's the secret ingredient. You just keep moving.
You keep moving, man.
Right. You don't dwell, right? Because when you dwell, you stay there for too long, and next thing you know, you stay there too long. You drown in that thing. Yeah. So you have to.
Got to keep moving.
And I don't want to be deep. But when you see Jesus off that boat, you got to keep moving towards him.
Keep your eyes on him.
Because in fact, once you turn back, and your friend saying, "Hey, that ain't working," or "Hey, you should leave him. You should leave her." That's when you start drowning. Right. But if you say, "You know what? We gonna keep it moving." Right. We at year 5. We at year 12. Now we at year 18. Yeah. We're moving, and that's the thing about it, man. You just don't dwell. Somebody asked me what's the secret to being married for 18 years. You just keep moving. And you just, you communicate, you don't dwell, you communicate, let each other know what hurt you, what didn't work, and you keep moving from there. You don't stay there like, well, that did hurt me. Yeah, you hurt me last year when you did. No. Yeah. Last year is gone. Yeah. We're moving. And so that's our thing, man. And we continue to do the date night. We love date night, man. We love going to the movies. Oh man.
And while we're on the subject,
and hotels.
Hello. And while we're talking about intimacy, right?
I'm a part of that Divine 9 too, bro.
There you go. That's so important. I'm happy that you're talking about that tonight, and you have us a part of that, because even the level of intimacy had to grow and had to develop over the time. Starting out, okay, I'm transparent moment.
Be transparent.
Okay, transparent moment.
Here comes the real story.
You're that first night making love and all of that. You a little shy, and oh my God, and my body.
Oh, you going that transparent?
Oh.
I thought you were talking about another transparent.
But I'm just saying, as you grow and as you go, hey, listen, this is what it is now, baby. Okay. COVID waiting all. This is what it is. I mean, but everything changes. You're growing. You're forever changing. You're forever going, and just keep moving forward. And hey, that's it.
But let me tell you one thing though. When we first came into each other's life and we got married, this girl, can we be transparent?
Go ahead.
Was a mess for 3 long.
Really, Sean?
That's why I'm able.
That's so many long, sir.
That's why I'm able.
First of all,
that's why I'm able to talk about. That's why I'm able to talk about dysfunction. Like, don't come to the relationship dysfunction.
Yep.
Because we did it backwards.
Yep.
We came, with dysfunction. She was more dysfunctioner, and that's not even a word. And for 3 long years.
Too many long, Sean.
Too
many long.
I'm telling you.
We're going to have a private section with Khalid or Dr. Garrett in a second.
We're going to do a joint session in a minute.
Yeah. But see, we can laugh about it. We have fun about it because of the fact it's comical.
Now.
It's
like,
comical.
Really that bad, huh?
And I would say yes.
And I'll be like,
he would say yes.
Really that hard. And what you gonna say?
Yeah, I was.
Yes.
I was.
But you know what? That's the important piece now, is that you can be transparent. And when we're talking about it, we're putting the truth out. We're not making it sound all easy, because it's hard work. Relationships are hard work, and the intimacy that you want to reach and the level that you want to reach, you got to put in the work. You just got to put in the work.
You do.
And so,
you do.
And that's important.
You do.
So,
and I think, going back to, the subject matter of someone having that power of you, or you giving that person that power of you because you haven't figured out your self-worth enough to stand and be bold and say, no, that's not going to work for me. I remember reading the 5 love language book. And I actually love that book. I mean, that was just phenomenal revelation. Yeah. Is it Gary? I think it's Gary. I think, it's a phenomenal book. I'm not here promoting him, or, I've had conversations with him or anything, but I think it's a phenomenal book to understand how you receive love. My thing was initially was gifts. So I would give myself gifts. I still give myself gifts, right? Gotta calm down on my retail therapy. But
Lord Jesus.
Yes. Before the mister put you on punishment.
Ooh, come on.
But that was my love language. But his is quality time. Right?
That's me.
I can give him all kinds of gifts. But he likes me sitting and twiddling my thumbs. Just sitting there. And I'm like, this is so boring. But guess what? In a relationship, to help him grow, evolve, and not feel insecure or not feel any other type of way that's not good and healthy for our relationship, then I'm going to sit here and twiddle my thumbs if that's what it takes, right?
That's right.
It's that self-sacrifice. And I think in intimacy, when we get it wrong, we're sacrificing the wrong things for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I think that book is really, really important, especially when you're talking to a brand new couple or people just in general in relationships. It's one of the assignments when I'm doing therapy that you got to know what it is that you really truly want. What makes you tick? A couple that I'm friends with now, that was the thing that I said to them. You guys have got to read this book because it's a part of your communication and how you communicate to each other. I developed, and after I read it, I'm like, this is absolutely me. There are 3 things that are tied. Those 3 levels, 3 of those 5 are tied for me. And so the gift giving, you can give me a gift. It's cool. That's not me. I like the conversation. I like the intimate, that kind of intimate setting where it's the quality time. I love those things. So it took a while for me to learn that. Took a while for my partner to learn that. And so as we were dating, and so once we got married, then he knows me. 27 years later, he knows me, almost 30.
Lord.
So he knows me, and he knows what I need. But I also know that the same thing for Big G is the same thing for him. Go to the movies. I hate going to the movies, but I'll go. If I have to,
Right.
sometimes.
That's right.
or
Man.
we sit in the car and drive. We go certain places.
Right.
So there's certain things that are required and certain things that you must do to maintain that. And so when you get past 25, you get past 27, there's still work that has to be done to maintain a relationship. And so you know what those things are. You learn your partner and you do what you need to do.
Yeah.
Things be so important to me that I could be watching something on TV and that's so funny. She could be in there folding clothes. She could be in there just getting in the bed, but she'll stop and drop what she's doing just to come laugh at the moment that I'm laughing.
Mm-hmm.
That's intimacy, right? Because in fact, she'll be in there and I know that she folding clothes. I'm like, babe, you're gonna miss it. And all I have to do is pause it, but I be wanting to be live in the moment. And so she'll break her neck just to make sure she come laugh in the moment with me. Mm-hmm. She don't say, oh, I'll catch it later. You know what I'm saying? Show me another time. She makes it her purpose to come laugh with me in the moment.
Because that's your jam. That's your thing, right?
That's my thing.
It's like, hey, be in that moment. Be present with him in that moment.
That's what it is, being present. And I know, like, I multitask. Gino doesn't multitask. I multitask, and sometimes it's an irritant to him. And I have to recognize that I can't multitask him. Like, he's not part of the multitasking.
That's
good. That's
so
good.
Being present, I have to remind myself of that. And sometimes he'll say something that will clue me in, like, okay, this is one of them times, right? Since he's been retired, TikTok has been his, like, thing. And he'll be flipping through. He's like, ha, babe, let me take it out my ear. Let me show you. And I'd be like, Lord Jesus, if I say
That's me.
But hey, that's like you were saying, it's in the moment, right?
It's in the moment.
It's dropping what I'm doing to be in that moment. Thank you for that. That's a good reminder. That is an excellent reminder. Khalid, you wanted to say something?
Yes. And staying on topic of intimacy, one of the things about really understanding what is intimate to you and to your partner is understanding that typically, and you just touched upon it, Kay, is that partners tend to be opposite of one another.
Absolutely.
Right? And I tell, like when I'm doing marriage counseling, I tell wives, when I ask you what your grocery list of what you want your husband to be, women often say, I want a male version of a female. The moment to explain. When I ask women, what do they want with a man? And they say, I want him to be thought-provoking. I want him to be kind and tender-hearted and pay attention. And guys, you got to listen to me, because what I'm saying is really powerful. And I'm not saying this for everybody, but when I hear people describe what they want in a partner, they want the male version of a woman, and vice versa. Men want the female version of a male. And so with a man, when he comes with, let me explain to you. So if a man is saying that, well, sir, what do you want in your wife? I want her to be a helper. I want her to be supportive. I want her to have strength. I want her to have to see the bigger picture. I want her to be more rational than always emotional. Majority of women aren't cut from that. So, but when you hear the list, it sounds like a male. Why wouldn't we want something that we know we are? But what happens is God did not make us like that. He did not formulate us like that. I'm regimented. I am anal. Things have to have order. I married a free spirit, the polar opposite of me. Someone who was spontaneous, right?
Right.
And when it worked well, right? Yeah. And when it didn't work well, right? And so it's always under, so you, just like you said, Kay, you're a multitasker, but your husband is like, I got one lane to drive down and I got to drive down that one lane. I ain't gonna do well in an expressway with a bunch of exits. Let me drive down that one lane.
Yeah.
And what happens is once we understand that I married the opposite of me, but I know how to enmesh, how to bring together, how to marry our two strengths and talents to make it one, then we have a great relationship.
Yeah.
And in the first few years, you're trying to figure that out. I wanted my ex-wife to be a neat freak like me. Why wouldn't I? She wanted me to be more spontaneous. Why wouldn't she, right? But she had to learn my gifts and how it benefited her life. And I had to learn that, man, it is okay just to wake up on a Thursday and say, you know what, let's do a weekend trip. I would never do that before. I had to plan 3, 4, 6 months in advance. But what it does is it takes pressure off of you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So once we figure that, and goes with the love languages, once you figure the person right next to you, then you understand how you need to navigate them. Because Maya Angelou said it best. When people show you who they are, believe them the first time.
Right. No, I was agreeing.
That.
No. I was agreeing with you when you were talking about, when we describe who we think we want, right? That we are really articulating our comfort level. And anything outside that comfort level, it's kind of spooky and scary. So I don't know nothing about that. So let me just be safe with this. But actually, that person would drive you literally battery. Like someone who's a multitasker like me, if I was with them, oh my gosh.
Drive me crazy.
They probably just stick needles in my eye. What is wrong with you? You're right. But right, that type of personality or person would drive me crazy because they're moving, and I'm moving. And when do we move together?
There you go.
We're gonna that doesn't work. But what I think is also key in what you were saying, Khalid, is that balance. Finding that balance is essential. Yes. I bring gifts to him, and he definitely brings gifts to me. Chill out. Go to sleep and don't wake up until like the alarm thinking about going off. Just turn the alarm off. Like the Thanksgiving break that I had. Oh my gosh, it was just wonderful. It was just wonderful. But you don't recognize that stuff when you're constantly moving and you're constantly doing something. You need that downtime. You need that, and so he provides that for me. Dr. Garrett, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say that balance. And so again, during COVID, that is something, because I am like you. I have 15 million things going at one time, and you know me, so you already know. I might be on my phone, I'm driving, I'm talking, I have a drink, I'm doing all these things, and my husband is like Big G. He's like, he was like, would you slow down? And I'm like, I can't. I gotta do what I gotta do. Just, work with me. Do you over there. Just go over there and let me do me. So he knows I'm crazy. So he knows me. And the things that I had to, we had to come to this thing of, is you be you, but I've got to be me. I can't do one thing at a time. I don't know how to do that. What he provided, and with this COVID thing, I learned to slow down and stop. I learned to stop. So one of the things that we did together was that we learned to, I come from a farm, so I planted things again. He reminded me of who I was when he met me. Wow. And I had to go back to her because I wasn't a bad chick at 19. So he reminded me, he was like, you used to like to do this, and this, and you stopped doing that somewhere along the way. He was like, you want to do flowers? Let's plant flowers. I had him out at 11 o'clock at night planting stuff because I wanted to get it done that day. And he was like, we turned the lights on. He was out there with me, and we got our flowers planted. We wanted to do certain things, and we did it, but COVID taught me to stop.
Right.
To stop, put the phone away, because I'm always on my phone. I'm always TikToking. I'm always doing that. And so when he comes in, sometimes, even after a long day, TikTok is the last thing that I do before I go to bed. And I laugh because I need the laughter, because you know what our days are like. And so he'll come in and he'll catch me laughing. He's like, well, what are you watching? And so I'll show him. He's like, oh my God. And so we'll have a laugh. And he's like, that's what you need. He said, that's one of the things that I love, because you're gonna laugh. I was like, I have to. Yeah. And so he got it, but it took work to get there, because initially it was like this, but now it's like this.
Yeah.
I am able to be myself, and that's important to me, because I have to be on for a lot of people.
Right.
Everybody has their expectations of you.
Right.
But he gets me, so that's what's important.
Yeah, having that 100%. That's one thing about social welfare or social work or any of those type of jobs. Sean is a teacher, so I know, and Natasha's a teacher too, and being that 120%, them 8, 9, 10, whatever hours, that 100%, man, it's hard.
Oh yes.
When you having life things happen, that's hard. It's just hard, and they don't care that you are not a robot and that you are human and have life experiences, right?
They don't.
I have this problem today, and you need to help me, and you're the designated person. That's what needs to happen, and so you have to have moments where you decompress.
Yes.
You know, where you do nothing, if you will. My thing is, I like cartoons. And I posted the pictures of those old time cartoons, the old time Christmas cartoons, Frosty the Snowman and all that. Yes, I have the box set. You can get it on Amazon. I have the box set, and I sit in the bed, and it's one DVD after the other, including the Christmas Story. I love that one too. And so that animation, I know is antiquated, is old, you know, whatever, but it is the best. It is the best to do something that keeps you from having to think, keeps you from doing work related stuff. And I call it spazzing out, where you just sitting there and you looking at a TikTok video, or you know, I got to stay away from the retail therapy. But you know, you're doing things that just make you laugh, make your heart feel light.
That's that intimate time with yourself, I feel.
That's a good one, Natasha.
That's that intimate time with yourself. You know, you have intimate time with your spouse or your partner, but I feel like what you're describing is that intimate time with yourself, and just taking that moment to be with yourself, be one, you know what I mean? And just do something that makes you happy, that brings you joy.
Right.
And that's it.
Yeah. And then one other area of intimacy that, you know, is kind of taboo in this day and time is the whole sex thing before marriage, before the ring, before there's a commitment. And I've listened to certain people have conversations. They probably don't know that I was listening, but I was listening. And I wasn't ear hustling. I was just listening. And how that whole notion of you got to try the milk before you buy the cow. Is that the phrase? I don't know if I messed it up. Or you're going to be stuck with that for the rest of your life. So you need to try that out before, and all of that. And I'm like, okay, God, that wasn't the way you intended it. So how did we get it all mixed up? And then I think about the reality shows and how, oh my gosh, like these certain people, and these are people, these are not characters in a movie. These are not characters in a sitcom. These are actual people who are having babies, more babies, and have a whole list of baby mamas, or baby daddies, and it's like the norm. It has become the norm. Like it is. It used to be taboo, and now it's not taboo. What was taboo is not taboo anymore. And I don't want, I try not to sound antiquated. I try not to sound like old school mentality or anything. But all of this is worthy of the wait. Now, I didn't always think that way. Why? Because I followed the norm, right? At the time, right? Having sex before marriage ain't no big deal. Little touchy, feely. I'm going to talk about it. And that was not the way. Because when that connection is made, when that soul tie is made, it's tied. And it's only God that can untie it. But mind you, as a woman, because we are receptors, men give and we receive, we get deposited into, we get, there's a part of him and a part of you that gets disjuncted, right? And then there's pieces all over, right? And you trying to collect all the pieces and you don't even know where the pieces have gone. Let's keep it real.
They got lost in the shuffle, child.
Like shuffling in a deck of cards.
Yeah.
Can the therapist talk about this thing here?
What is that?
Help us. Help us, the peoples.
You said make it make sense. Go, Khalid.
Okay.
Shirley was like, go, Khalid. It's on you, bro.
I see him chopping.
He's chopping at the. Go ahead.
Absolutely.
I just want to make sure we talked about it because people don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you study generations and you study that we are creatures of habit, that it doesn't take much to influence us, right? And we come from a mindset of, I'd rather be a follower than a leader, because a follower is in a cluster. A leader sometimes walks alone. And sometimes I'm not okay about walking alone. I'd rather operate, maneuver, and navigate in a group. And being different means you have to be brave, right? Being different means you have to be brave. Being a unicorn means I go alone. I don't. Being an eagle, I don't travel like the seagulls. I'm flying solo. So because a lot of us have that mindset, we go with what's popular. Okay. So for me, I always talk about the rapper Cardi B and her horrible influence on women. And when I talk about her on social media, gangs of women jump on me. Because one, how dare a man put that woman down? And I'm like, ladies, wait a minute. I love women. I love our women. I'm dedicated to our women. And if I see something that adds to the stereotype of how the world sees my women, I need to say something. I'm man enough, I'm a unicorn enough, I'm an eagle enough to say something. But how dare you? We want to go with the flow. And so what happens is by going with the flow, then later on we like, I messed up. So now we got a bunch of girls and young women acting like Cardi B instead of Michelle Obama.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a rippling effect when we are out of order. But when we're in the middle of it, it feels right. We feel vindicated and validated. You got to teach people how to be brave now, because we don't talk about that a lot. We got to teach people how to be fearless.
Right.
You wrote a book about being a proper wife, and you heard criticisms, didn't you?
Yeah.
Here it is, you're talking about being a wife.
And using my own experience, not talking about nobody else. Just
right. But listen, if you wrote a book about being a mistress, you would not have one copy. You would not have one copy with you. So again, it goes back to the world that we live in. And when we are brave enough to say, no, we're going to do the opposite. We're going to be unicorns and eagles. then maybe we might be able to do something a little better.
Right.
But again, that's going to take work.
Being
and us
brave.
keep giving this message out.
Yeah.
That's the key word we keep saying over and over, and everything that we said is it takes work. And what I find is that people are not ready to do the work. And when we have the hard conversations, the difficult conversations, the real conversations, they don't tune in. But just like you said, if you're talking about some of the songs that Cardi B puts out and other ladies that I've heard some songs, I'm like, oh my God.
Right.
But
right.
is that I talk about this all the time. I'm raising and he's grown, a man. With this, we've raised a man. He's 21 years old, and we're having these conversations. And one of the things that I'm impressed most by is that when girls say something to him or young women say something to him, he's like, if it's not the appropriate way that they come at him, he's like, I don't want that. I want a woman that we can work together. And I'm like, I think we did something right.
Absolutely.
There you go. We did something right.
He wants what we're talking about. That's what type of relationship he wants. And I've seen girls bend out the window, let me give you my number kind of thing. And he's like, let me ask for your number. Let me do it this way. And it may seem antiquated to some, and he might seem nerdy to other people, but I raised a man. I raised a gentleman. And that's what I want to put out there. And and the one thing that I've learned more about him as an adult. He was just here, and he just went back to go to school. He has what he wants in mind. He has that list. He's put it out there, and it's funny because it matches what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And the intimacy and all those things as a partner. I tell him, you are the priest of the family. You are these things. If you're going to be a father, you got to emulate some of the things that you see. Going to church is important. We had these conversations that are really deep. And I'm like, something is paid off. Now, if we can get the rest of the people your age and older to listen to this, then I think we'll be doing something. But having these types of conversations, they're needed. And I just did, and Khalid, he's as busy as I am of having these conversations and doing the panels and all these things. I did a panel discussion for ladies 19 to 38. You would be surprised at some of the conversation that came out of there, but it was needed conversation, things that people do not talk about. I brought you up, I brought your book up, Dr. Arnold. And it was like something that you really need to hear, something that you really need to read, because it may seem antiquated, but antiquated or old is not a bad thing. And I think we get that in our mind. I would much rather emulate Michelle Obama, the Michelle Obama.
Right.
Than any other person. If you got to have somebody to look up to, look up to her.
Right. That's right.
Right. So yeah, and I continually have these, conversations with my mentees, because I don't mind having the naked conversations with them. Maybe their parents don't want to have.
Right.
But I explained to one young lady, like, every time that you're having sex right now, and I went deep on it. I was like, it feels good, right? You like it? Okay, it's satisfying. I said, but this wasn't how you were raised. And I said, every time you do it, you're sticking up your middle finger to God. And you're telling him, and you're telling him, I got this. So when Jimbo number one broke her heart because he became controlling, I was like, remember, he was the love of your life. You introduced him to Titi. He was the love of your life, remember? And now you want to introduce Jimbo number two as the love of your life just a year later, and you're intimate with him. How does that work? What happened to the one? Well, he was controlling, and but didn't we know that? So those are the type of conversations I have. If people don't want me to mentee your daughter, then you don't want me to have them conversations, because those are the conversations that they're having with their friends.
Yes.
Right.
Because then she got it, Lord Jesus. I mean, they're walking in these relationships talking about marriage. And I'm like, you're talking about what? And you gonna do what? Okay, I'm not the TT that's gonna say, okay, let's have the party, and it's time, let's get Natasha to do your bridal shower. And no, like, we're gonna have some real conversations before you make this decision, because once you make this decision, you have to live with the decision that you made. God will honor the marriage, but all the mess that's going to come in the midst of it, you kind of orchestrated that and left the door open.
Yeah.
You left the door open. Don't go back. God, you know what Adam said, God, that woman you gave me. Right. No, bro, you messed up the rules. You messed up the rules and you opened the door. So, yeah, this been good, y'all. Look at it. 9:03. Y'all be talking this stuff. Y'all be, hey, this is how we do it. I appreciate the Pritchets coming on. We don't stay on long. We don't stay on long. I didn't get a chance to look at the Facebookie. Let me look at the Facebookie. While y'all give your last words, I did want, before I go, I want to give 1-800-799-SAFE, SAFE is the number if you're in a domestic violence situation and you're ready to go. You're ready to get out. Call that number and they can get you some help. If you're ready to go and you're ready to get out, inbox me and I'll connect you with somebody to get you some help. But you got to make the choice to be ready to go.
Yep.
With your children, right? With the babies, because I'm telling you from almost 25 years of experience of working in child welfare. Dr. Garrett's worked in child welfare 20 plus. Leeds worked in welfare for 20 plus. And you got 2 teachers on here that are working in the school system. That stuff gets played out in your children's play. Not only in play, but it becomes their real life and their reality. And they emulate what has been taught to them. Whether you think, oh, the baby's asleep. They ain't heard us arguing. They ain't heard this. They ain't heard that. Excuse me, ma'am and sir.
They come to
heard
school.
All of it.
They come to school in their dramatic play area and they act it out. Ask me how I know.
Right. It gets played out. And when they start dating and starts feeling what I call the new-news in their center spirit, you know, the new-news, that means them hormones start to flickering around and stuff, and they start feeling a certain type of way, they start doing that, bullying other kids into relationships, into showing, you show me mine, I'll show you yours. You know, that whole thing. What we used to call exploratory play, no, that's not exploratory play. If you're going to force somebody to play, okay? It gets played out, and it gets repeated, and that's how the cycle of abuse continues, because nobody wants to talk about the real conversation. So just like I had a reality check about being emotionally abused, emotionally abused. When I didn't do it the way he wanted me to do it, then he would withhold love, what I call love from me, right? He would withhold talking with me, going to the movies with me, doting on me, right? Affirming me because I didn't do it his way. That's emotional abuse. Let me just identify it for you. Because I lived it, I know it, so you can't tell me anything different about it. And I got 2 clinicians on here nodding. So I know I'm in the right place. So don't psych yourself into the facade that you all look like Michelle and Barack Obama to everybody else. And so you all are the perfect couple. And so you don't want to ruin that. So you just go through it. No, ma'am, no, sir.
Nope.
No, ma'am, and no, sir.
Right.
If you really want to talk about it, we can talk about it. I have no problem with keeping your confidence. I'll connect you with Dr. Garrett and connect you with Khalid. I promise you I will. I stays in my lane. I'm not a therapist, but I know what I know. And there's too many people, there's too many females, women, young ladies out here getting excited about some ice on a finger.
Yeah.
You can go and buy your own ice on the finger. Go buy.
That's the image of happiness today.
Image of happiness today. You know, you looking for the 5 carats, and if he don't give you we talked about the rock is hot, right?
Yeah.
You know, we talked about all that stuff before, but you're emulating the wrong thing. You're emulating the wrong thing. You want the wrong thing. And likely, if you're wanting the wrong thing, then you're probably connected with the wrong person. Because Ishmael will always give you Ishmael. He'll always give you Isaac until he can't give you Isaac anymore. And then he turns into who he really is.
But that's the representative. Again, I'm introduce you to the representative.
Right.
And we said this before when we had this conversation about the ring and all this stuff. I've been in this 30 years. Look at my hand. I don't even have it on. I don't even wear it because I don't need that. I know who I am. So that's not my identity. I'm not wrapped into that. And like I said before, when I really want to feel close, I take the rings of my mom and dad that were married 50 years and my great grandmother and grandfather that were married 70 years. And I'll wear that. That reminds me of where it is that I'm trying to go.
Right.
So that's what's important. And guess what? They didn't have 5 carats. One of them is a simple sterling band.
Right.
70 years.
Yeah. Right.
That's what means something.
So I will definitely leave it to Mrs. Pritchett. Sister, my queen, Tasha, give us some last words, and then everybody can give last words. I just want to encourage you. Again, it's 1-800-799-SAFE. Inbox me if you don't remember that. Just inbox me, and I'll connect you to some good people to help you. But go ahead, the Pritchets.
Yeah, I mean, I think Sean pretty much, we both hit it. We've been saying it the whole night. Just keep moving. If you are in a relationship or you're in a marriage and, you are hitting some bumps in the road and having some things going on. Talk about it.
Yeah,
okay.
Talk about it. Communicate. Have those conversations.
Yeah, you have to, but just keep going. Keep moving, keep moving. And keep that intimacy going too.
One thing that we do every night, 2 things. We pray and we read scripture together. A lot of people would think that's like probably not necessary, but that is very necessary because what we do, we press play. Thank God for technology. We press play on the Bible to read to us, and we sit there and we listen to the word right before we go to bed. We listen to the word, allow that seed to be planted in us. No matter what scripture it is, we allow the whole chapter to be read, and we take it in. Sometimes we may discuss it up, depends on how fatigued we are, but we definitely don't miss nights. We'll play that, and then we'll pray out, and then that's it. So those are 2 main things that we do, and we live in each other's moment. So on top of living in each other's moment, you gotta add God. You can't keep God out of it. Pray, read together. I don't care if it's a verse, one verse,
or something
inspirational. Do it. Try to practice this every night. When you do this every night, even if it's affirmations, that will keep you moving. Somebody may say it don't take all that.
Yes,
listen, it does. It takes all that, because we cannot, and I expound on that. We cannot defeat the enemy on our own.
Yeah.
No matter what, no matter how you were brought up in church thinking that, oh yeah, the devil's on our feet. He is with God, not because of the fact of you alone. So you cannot defeat the enemy in your marriage or in your relationship alone. You need God. So continue to place him first and keep it moving, living each other's moments.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. Dr. Garrett or Khalid, any last words for peoples?
Go ahead, Dr. G.
He's pointing back to you.
I think that for me, the last thing that I'm going to say is if it doesn't bring you love, peace, or positive energy, stop engaging with it. And it's just that simple. And again, relationships take work. Intimacy takes a lot of work. And you got to be willing, if you want it to be successful and healthy, learn the difference between healthy and what that is, and a healthy relationship and dysfunction. And if you're broken, get the help that you need, not for anybody else, but for you, so that you don't continue carrying the baggage that you have into relationships and sabotaging yourself along the way. If you do need help and you do need to reach out, I can be looked up. Kenna she can give you the information, but you can go on drshirleyspeaks.com and you can look me up that way. And there's a contact button for you to put it in and you can get directly to me.
Excellent.
Go ahead. Go ahead,
Oh,
Khalid. Sorry about
okay.
the interruption. I went to Facebooky to see if there were questions. So sorry, guys. But go ahead, Khalid.
All right. My message has been real consistent for the last 5, 6 months, is that have an intimate, loving affair with yourself first. When you know the benefits and you see the value of being intimate with you, then you understand the value and the meaning of being intimate with those who you allow to be in your space and in your place. Okay? Always have an affair, a loving, beautiful, fantastic, firework-based affair with yourself first, and everything else will follow in suit. In order to get in contact with me, have a private practice, highachiever.net. I'm on Psychology Today under Khalid Scott. I'm on all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And my number is 312-43-SCOTT.
Go ahead, how your number now?
Awesome.
The name.
I be doing important people. Impotent people,
Yeah.
Sean. Impotent.
Yeah.
So I would just say, one of my favorite scriptures is 1 John 5:7, where it talks about the 3 in 1. God, Holy Spirit, and Jesus, they're one. They have different functions, but they're one. And one of the things, that's Smokey in the background. One of the things that is so important to me is that we remain and continue to move forward in becoming more like that one function, becoming more like that, me and Big G. Like, yin and yang, just being intimate on a level that no one else will ever be able to come to that level. I value that level of comfort with him, and he values that level of comfort with me. And when you value that and you nurture that and you cultivate that, ain't nobody gonna be able to compare to that. Cause what? That takes what, Sean? Work. Dr. Garrett, it takes work. So we 11 years in. Come on, y'all. We 11 years in, and we looked up and it's 11.
Yep.
We looked up and there was 11. Like, we can't believe it's been 11 years. And that's because we've enjoyed the ride. No, it ain't been pristine and happy go and happy and howdy how and all that. But it's been the work and the cultivation that has been worth it. I'm worthy of it. He's worthy of it. And we value each other. So y'all out there in Facebook, value yourself and know that God will send you someone to value you just as much, and if not more. Okay? So until next time, now our next meeting in December, we're going to talk to the therapist. We're going to have Dr. Garrett. We're going to have Khalid, and I've invited some other guest therapists too. And so if you have questions that you want to ask, I'm going to post it on my page and Instagram and Twitter, where you can ask questions, or you can send them inbox. You can inbox them to me, and we're just going to have a whole litany of questions that you want to ask. Okay? And we're not going to put your name with the question. That's fine if you don't, for privacy's sake. But I want you to get your questions answered. I want you to go into the new year, blessing of the Lord, that we all make it into 2022. The new year with a different perspective and a different way of living. And guess what? You don't have to wait till January 1st, 2022 to start that. You can start that today. A new perspective, a new way of living, a new way of identifying who you are in this world. When you walk into the room, they know who you are, right? And you know who you are, and you know your worth and your value. So I leave you with that. Look out for the post. Give us your questions, and we're going to have a good time, and we're going to end this wonderful year with a great big bang of questions and answers, right? And how we do it, transparent and open and honest, always. So, blessings. Thank you all. Thank you to the Pritchets.
Thank you for having us.
Patronize them. Don't forget MP3 Show. And Dr. Garrett and Khalid, thank you again. And we'll see you next time. So you guys have a good night.
Good
Good night.
y'all.
All right.
Good night.
Good
Take
night.
care, guys.
Please,
Bye.
Bye
Take care.
bye.
Bye bye.